I can't do this either.
But
One
you can do
finger.
this.
Oh my God,
That was crazy.
I was crying.
That looked like AI.
That was incredible.
Welcome back. Welcome in to the Lions Share Podcast regular season recap edition. Lions defeat the Vikings on Sunday Night Football, and in a big way. The Lions of old, they used to clinch number one draft picks. They clinched the number one NFC seed last night. The Detroit Lions are now 15-2 to close out the regular season and headed straight for a bye week, and they leapfrog themselves right into the divisional round, can sit out next week in the wild card. Strap in, because we got a lot to cover here on this here show, the Lions Share Podcast. Guys, it's great to be here. It's great to be here after a win, of course. Always Victory Monday is always a little bit sweeter, especially when it is the end of the regular season and it's against the Vikings. That means the Lions finished the year 6-0 in the division. And I loved this quote. We shared it before the show started, but man, from Amik in the post-game locker room, he hit us with this. You can't bury what comes from the dirt. Boys, what do we make of this Victory Monday, and how are we feeling heading into the playoffs?
I mean, on top of the world, man. How can you feel bad today, right? I mean, going to the playoffs, number one seed, bye, home field advantage, letting the fans get into it again. It's everything we wanted. Knew it was going to be a tough game, and I couldn't be happier with the defense's performance here. I think that was the huge standout for me.
I feel like there's just like everything worked out. We had a little bit of a stressful first half in particular. I think with some of the play we saw from Jared, some of the we couldn't get the run game going, but it just like everything started to hit. The All Blacks started to look better and better throughout the night. You had all the legends out. Everybody, emotional after the game. The post-game locker room speech by Dan. It felt like a perfect way to end the season. And I think Dan summed it up perfectly and basically said, like, we're built by this. Like, this is what we do. Like, adversity is what we do. And it's been the whole season. They're 15-2. I can't believe it. I feel like I texted you guys last night and I just said like 15-2. Like, what are we even talking about? This is absolutely insane. It's just everybody's riding high right now.
And you touched on this a couple episodes ago, Mitch, about how the Lions are good, and then what happens? The NFC North becomes the best division ever. So even when the Lions are good, they still have to find a way to do it through so much adversity. You come down to the last game of the year. Vikings 14 wins, Lions 14 wins for the 1 seed or the 5 seed. And I think, evident by the TikTok comments that we got based on how high the Vikings were coming into this game, I think the fans were even more high. But I feel like Detroit kind of treated this like it was a business trip at home, of course. But I feel like the Lions played it cool, and the Vikings maybe made this too big. Lions were ready for it, ready for the moment, but not over-prepared. And I think you got to give all the credit in the world, obviously, to Dan Campbell. And in that defense, we'd be remiss, obviously, Aaron Glenn as well. Just had the guys ready, and obviously Anzalone out there made a huge difference for that defense. But to only give up 9 points, 3 field goals, no touchdowns, and we'll get into the nitty-gritty of the stats that everybody knows and loves. But what a performance, and it was just absolute cinema out there. Kevin O'Connell's a great head coach. I think Dan just continues to have their number, and Gibbs obviously has the Vikings number as well. 4 touchdowns last night, so incredible, and it just was cinema to watch these coordinators battle it out, because these are some of the best coaches, but also some great coordinators with Flores on the other side of the defense, and with Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. So it was great to see. It was fun, and I'm sure that anybody that was watching, I'm sure there were millions. They got a good one last night. Even though the score wasn't all that close, it was still just an absolute great game. Did you guys ever think in the world that it would be a final score of 31-9 as far as the discrepancy goes?
I think we all made it pretty clear that we thought it was going to be a really tight game. Andrew and I obviously, well, you too, Ben, like you had the under, but we thought way more points in this one, but no, did not see a 3-score game coming by any means.
Not even close. I mean, especially if you were to tell me that the Vikings had possession of the ball at the 5-yard line and didn't score touchdowns. And scored no touchdowns, several times.
Yeah, and that being the big worry coming into this, all the injuries, 12 guys on defense still on IR. We knew that Anzalone being back would be huge, but the reports before the game were that he could potentially be on a pitch count. Well, he ended up playing 64 of 65 snaps, so pretty much 100% of the game, and a big difference maker in so many ways, just for his leadership, but also his play on the field and be able to play coverage better than some of the linebackers that the Lions have. So that was huge. It was great. I have this for you guys, and this is from a couple years ago. Andrew, you noted this when we started previewing this. This is what it's all about. This is what the framework was built around a couple years ago when we started this podcast. We kind of have seen this rebuild through the Dan Campbell regime and Brad Holmes as well. But remember back to when the Lions went into Lambeau, beat the Packers on a game that didn't mean anything for the Lions after the Seahawks game. And they went in and had the mantra of, we just don't want them to go. So here's the clip from Dan after that game.
Proud. These coaches couldn't be more proud. That's right. I mean, guys, do you understand? When I say this is a special group, this is a special group. And by the way, this is just the beginning. Yes, sir. This is just the beginning. Yeah. All right, because now the idea will be down the road. All roads go through Detroit. That's the way we got to think, man. That's the way you got to think. But, man, when you can win on the road like we just did to a team that is doing everything they can to get in, man, it speaks volumes about who we are and what we're capable of. I couldn't be more proud. I'm serious, man.
Fast forward to now, he manifested it. Here they are, the number 1 seed and, home field advantage throughout the playoffs.
Let me add one more thing to that clip, too, for those who can't see it. Sheila, in the background, 100% bought in. I mean, maybe even more than the players to what Dan Campbell is selling there.
Yeah, and that's where it all began. In these little moments, it's hard to remember all of the moments that have led to this, but it's like you said, Mitch, to sit back and think and look at the record, 15-2, and just it's hard to even fathom that this is what it's become. 15-2, best, tied for the best record in the NFL. As a Lions fan, that's we've all been through so much. It's uncharted territory, and we continue to just be struck by this team and the coaching staff and these players. And boy, did they show out in a big way in primetime last night, and to secure that number 1 seed in the most gritty way possible.
Oh, that's a great word for it. And Dan setting himself up for next year. He's one up himself every year over year on the record, and pretty much in all statistical categories. He's setting himself up for a lofty goal next year, but don't forget we're still on track for that Mike Ditka lookalike season.
Oh, wow. I totally forgot about that. Do we have that still? That was preseason, right? That was from Reddit, I think.
Yeah, I believe so.
What a pull from you to have that. That's insane.
All kinds of history this year. Ben, you're going to get to some of it. I just saw on Sports Illustrated the 3rd most watched Sunday Night Football in NBC's history.
Wow. In
Crazy.
history.
28.2 in NBC Sunday Night Football. It was Chiefs Ravens to open the year, had more, and then it was at the time Redskins and Cowboys in 2012. The only 2 games to rank higher on Sunday Night Football. It's nuts.
And I think there's a reason that 2012 game was so popular too. I can't remember what it is, but there's something special about that game. I want to say that's why it's so bumped. Obviously, the Cowboys, America's team. Well, it's the
NFC
Lions
East
now.
title. Same
Okay.
situation, but not like it wasn't like obviously for the 1 seed, but it was for the NFC East title.
Yeah. I still can't believe that it came down to this, and now the Vikings have to go on the road to the Rams. That's a broken system, and next year we won't have this problem probably, but this every couple of years this happens when a division gets so good. But not needless to say, Mitch, you spoke about these, you teased these, so I'm gonna hit them with this, and folks, you might want to tune in real quick because there's a lot of them. Gibbs, 20 touchdowns rushing this year. That's a franchise record. He got 4 last night to secure that. 1,300 plus yards rushing on 500 plus receiving, nearly eclipsed 2,000 all-purpose. That's a record. 29 rushing touchdowns for the Lions as a whole. That's a franchise record. 6,713 total yards net. 564 points. That's the fourth most in the season. For those who listened to the last episode before the Vikings game, we did a fact or fiction, which was, did we think the Lions would crack top 3? They needed 32 plus. They got 31. So they didn't quite get themselves into that top 3, but they're fourth most in all-time NFL. Now, they end the year with a plus 222-point differential. That's insane. 144 receptions over 2 years for Laporta. That's a record. St. Brown, 115 plus receptions, 10 plus receiving touchdowns in back-to-back years. Insane numbers from the Sun God. J-Mo, his first year over 1,000 yards this year. Congratulations. Jared Goff, a 72% completion percentage and 4,500 yards, most ever with that completion percentage. Khalif Raymond, 413 yards in punt return, most in the NFL. Funny part about that, he missed 5 games this season, and still led in that category. Insanity. Kirby Joseph obviously took the crown in the league. He's the lead leaguer in. I just did it. I tried to stop myself from doing it. He's the league leader in interceptions this year. Jack Fox, 46.2 yard punt average. That's an NFL record all time. First seed for the number 1 seed for the first time in franchise history. Back-to-back division champs for the first time ever. 6-0 in the North for the first time. 15-2 and 11-2 in primetime under Dan Campbell after last night's primetime victory.
Whew. And undefeated on the road.
Thought you were going to run out of breath.
Nearly. And that's just scratching the surface. There's many more, but these are the big ones. And a lot of deserving and notable names on there. St. Brown, monster year, back-to-back years, of course. Laporta, even though he started so slow this year, really came on as the season went on, and we need that to continue into the playoffs. Obviously, Kirby Joseph didn't get an INT in this game against the Vikings, but still leads the league.
It's a dog. Ball hawk out there. Really wanted one. There were several times last night where I think I said under my breath, really need a turnover here.
My goodness. Needed it badly, but the defense continued to just be a cement wall in the red zone. And, it's not – we've seen that at times from them this year, but there's been so many injuries and so many in and out of this lineup. It's hard to even evaluate the DVOA when it goes up and down so much. But it did feel like they needed to get a turnover and help that offense, which was slow to start. It did feel like eventually, I think you were on that. I think we were all on that, just that the offense was eventually going to figure it out. We've seen it so many times in the past. It kind of reminded me of the Rams game. Obviously, that was more higher scoring, but the Rams game where it was just waiting for him, and then finally David Montgomery and that offensive line took over in overtime, and it was like, okay, here we go. This is what we needed. And, Gibbs came out hot in this game, but the offense just so slow, and we'll get to it, but Jared Goff had so many mistakes that could have been so costly in this game. I don't know what you guys think, but if that ball gets intercepted by the linebacker, I can't remember who it was for the Vikings, but if that ball gets picked...
Van Pinkel. Yeah, if he picks that, it's gone. Dare I say, that might have been the spark that the Vikings needed to try to... It would have certainly been a closer game.
It definitely would have, and I kept saying that they needed a turnover in the first half as well, because the defense was doing great. The offense just couldn't stay on the field. It was crazy. But got bailed out by the kickoff there, out of bounds, kind of gave us some momentum going into half. Knew the Vikings were going to get the ball to start the second half. So kind of got some momentum, got some more points on the board right before half. That was huge for them going forward. Kind of like a mini turnover, right?
Yeah, points were at a premium, and you'll take anything at that point. The Vikings only had 2 field goals at that point. They tried to go for fourth down there in the red zone and didn't get it. Andrew, you and I both noticed it right away with Addison was wide open on that. And that was the first moment where I realized Darnold's rattled, and in a big way. This is the Darnold I know. This is him. Finally, he's come back into form, and I put it in the notes here. Damn Darnold. He was damn Darnold. The damn, it finally broke last night against the Lions.
Oh, it sure did, but I mean, what is it going to take to get an all-22 camera? Because I saw Addison on that one, and I know I saw a couple more when you're kind of getting into the red zone and everybody is on screen. But other than that, I wanted to see, because there had to have been more guys open. But the last few games, the Lions have either gotten a sack or hit the quarterback very early on in the game. Z got that sack to start the game a couple weeks ago. It just sets the tone, and quarterbacks look for it going forward, and it was exactly what they needed.
Especially when you can hit him with authority, and it's not just like there's a difference between bumping him and stuff like that. Like he got smacked a couple times early, and I think that's really when he's like, oh, like these dudes are. That's right. They may not be great, but they're moving at 100 miles an hour at all times.
And I have it in the notes here. Is there anything better than a sack at home in Ford Field? Obviously, like the turnover's big too, but like something about a sack, a deep sack, especially that one that Za'Darius got. It just makes you feel like, I don't know what it makes me feel like, but it was crazy, and it was like, okay, this is what they needed. I touched on it in the pregame show. They had 4 sacks against the Vikings in Minnesota. Said they were going to need to match that. They had 2 last night, and including I think 11 QB hits on Sam Darnold, on a quarter of his dropbacks, over a quarter of his dropbacks, he was getting hit. So I think it was a pressure rate of north of 30%, which is not what I mean. You know, we had our doubts about that defensive line without Aiden, without
hyping
McNeil.
His boys up on the sideline, by the way.
On the sidelines.
And
Great
so was
to
David
see.
Montgomery. That was nice to see too. You got to imagine he might be sneaking his way back by the divisional round.
Did you guys see that? Do you have a grilling?
No.
Oh, David?
Yeah.
Oh,
Monty?
Montgomery. I thought you meant Aiden.
No,
Let me see your what?
that's a stretch. I'm pretty sure Monty had a large gold grill in there.
I think you're right. I think now that memory serves me, I think I do remember seeing that. Hyping up his boy Gibbs all game long. Every time he was leaving the field, he was right there. He was the first one greeting him. That was great. Love this team. I just love this team so much.
No kidding. To go back to that sack, though, that Big Z had, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Does it not seem like that's the type of play that a Lions team of old, they're not gonna hold on to the leg? He's gonna somehow get out of that, have time to set up, and make just a massive play downfield.
Yeah, the ghosts of past definitely are lingering every time a play like that happens.
I think that's why it feels so sweet for me, like that's an actual sack. Like it's an actual sack. He made contact with the ground. He didn't get the ball out at all.
And you got to worry about a flag after all that. Before you celebrate, you got to. Was there a defensive holding? Was there an illegal contact? Did he grab his face mask?
Every time.
Especially with that crew last night, which was questionable, led by Brad Rogers. And I'm sure you guys caught it too. Anzalone, Amik, and Gibbs got the game balls from NBC. They did so from Dan Campbell as well. But they asked Anzalone a question, and he had the quote of, "When we fly around, we make plays." And I thought that was perfect way to sum up that defense. They were flying around. It's not like anything what we saw against the 49ers. That 49ers defense, the Lions defense against the 49ers, nothing like what the defense we saw last night.
No, they were fast last night. But now that you brought up old Anzalone, can we talk about his intro? I mean, was that all time? Father of 2?
He's been doing that. Yeah, father of 2.
I think that's the first time I noticed it. That was awesome.
They needed him, dude. His AG was out of his mind last night, but you could just tell Anzalone's presence out there with him and Campbell out there. It added a completely different element to the defense from what they've had the last few weeks. I mean, if Campbell and Anzalone play like that, catch you in New Orleans. I don't think that's like crazy to say. You can blame Sam Darnold all you want, but like we've already been talking about, and you'll hear all over the pundits today. It's like that was a scheme thing. Getting in his face early, getting him in pressure, making him uncomfortable was a scheme thing. And Anzalone and Campbell played incredible last night.
How about Anzalone too? The Bionicle, as I'm calling him out there, with the steel plate in his arm, 7 weeks removed from that injury. That's insane that he was out there, and and his intro. Shout out to you, Mitch, for the boots on the ground for that. I saw a few videos from that. Wow, chills in that moment too.
Everybody
Insane
wants to be a
watch him.
dog,
And
so they got to do dog shit.
what a line! These guys are just everybody from Dan Campbell down to the players. Amik with the dirt quote. These guys are machines out there on and off the field. And I noticed from the PFF as well. I think Levi owns Workday with 9 pressures alone just from himself. Needed a big game out of that interior D line without Aleem out there, obviously the last couple weeks. And how about Levi leading the charge there with 9 pressures? Good for him. That's great to see. And how about Amik on Justin Jefferson? Justin Jefferson, the most frustrated we've probably ever seen the boy. 3 catches on the day, some drops in there. Darnold obviously missed him a couple times, but did you guys ever think that the stat line would be as low as it was for Jefferson with 3 catches, 54 yards? Naylor, 3 catches, 53. Jordan Addison, 1 catch, 0 yards.
No, I mean, you caught us in fact or fiction. We both thought JJ was going over 100. But I think it's an important call out that it felt like, I think we all agree the first half was like uncomfortably close. In the second half, when every time they panned to Justin Jefferson and he's sitting on the bench, it felt like it was over. Like the Vikings just like, the fight wasn't there. And I think that's the big difference you'll see. And I'm not trying to discredit Kevin O'Connell in any way, shape, or form, but that's a Dan Campbell-led team versus a offensive mind team versus potentially, like, I personally, I think that's what's gonna make AG a better coach than Ben. Like, the guys that can get the squad up and like they never lose that motivation, that, you know, that hunger. That's what makes Dan that grit. Yeah, that's what makes Dan
Nice.
as good as he is. And you know, whenever they're not ready, Angie, you talked about this. You don't want to hear they're not ready. Has not been a thing the last couple weeks. They've been ready. So, yeah, that body language was bad. It felt like Caleb Williams, Jordan Love-esque body language from Justin Jefferson on the sidelines.
When you see kind of expressions like that from opposing teams, Ben, we talk about it all the time. That's the cleat on the throat, and that's the twist. Like, that's the absolute twist. And then all I could think about when you were saying that, Mitchell, was another Dan Campbell quote. We will do whatever it takes to bury you.
Yes.
We will stick with you. We will do whatever it takes to stay within striking distance, and then we will absolutely bury you. And that last night, prime example.
It's those little psychological things. Those are the tells, right? Justin Jefferson's body language. Sam Darnold on the sidelines, just looking like 1,000-yard stare, like, oh shit, I'm in it. Like, and you could tell. I honestly feel a little bit bad for him. Like, I feel like Jeff definitely got his past crept up on him. He started thinking about all the mistakes he's made in the past and in the shoddy, bouncy career that he has had, and he's found good home here with the Vikings and Kevin O'Connell, who's a quarterback whisperer. I don't think Sam Darnold can take all the credit, obviously, but Kevin O'Connell has led him to what this is. You know, we've seen him do this in the past. So,
and the tough part is, it feels like now, if the Vikings come out, lose to the Rams, and Sam Darnold doesn't play well, they move on. It just feels like that's what he's done, because it's just, the narrative is just going to be like he can't do it in the big moment. I don't think it affects him that much. I think he definitely goes somewhere. But I think if you're the Vikings, he plays well the next game, maybe 2, you have to franchise him and see what you've got. He's 27. But I mean, what's the risk?
yeah.
You are paying, and in addition to that, you are paying well below the league average for your quarterback room. So the Vikings window is not done. They make the right moves in free agency and in the draft. I don't know. It feels like the Lions and Vikings are going to be duking it out for a while, and then we'll let the other 1-5 division teams duke it out for the toilet bowl.
Incredible. Yeah, I think with Kevin O'Connell they're always going to be a competitive team, right? They're never going to be bad. They're always going to be that team that hovers around 500 or better. Just he's going to be able to find a way. He wins close games all the time. He's got an innate ability to do that. So he's good at what he does.
Too bad the fan base has already moved on from Darnold, though.
Yeah, you want to talk about a flip-flop. Folks, this might be a good time to bring up the TikTok comments that we got. Of course, we've got the receipts. Any given moment, we post our predictions. We get anywhere from, 5,000, 20,000 views on these videos, and we get some comments, but we don't ever get the comments in the sheer volume that we got, and hate comments, that is. It was probably 90% Vikings fan in our TikTok comments, and they weren't exactly nice Vikings fans. There were a few that just, did their thing, commented the score that they thought it was going to be, but there were a lot that didn't, including ones that called us clowns, nimwits, three little guys, three idiots, homers. We are definitely thrown over the middle. I didn't know this guy Michael Fancher was on the team. Apparently he's going to throw over the middle. They didn't really throw across the middle at all. Let's see.
Or
Sam
just
Darnold,
throw. Just throw. I mean, they threw, but not a lot of completions.
Yeah, 18 of 41 for Sam Darnold. That's never going to get it done. You think the Vikings defense is going to give up 30 plus? Well, they already did against the Lions in Week 7, and then they did so again here.
Score update, not a big deal.
Yeah, this will not age well.
Yeah, lots of Vikings fans. A few late editions Lions fans. Be nice for you guys to hang out and defend us a little bit beforehand. Don't come afterwards. Let us have the fun afterwards. Unless you get in the scrum before, then you come after as well.
Right. But I think it goes back to what I said, too. I think the Vikings were so high coming into this game, and for not a great... I kept... After we recorded, I kept looking back at and I was texting you guys about this. I was looking back at some of the scores. They beat the Jaguars 12-7. They beat the Colts 21-13. They've got a really good defense. They've got absolute dogs out there between every level of that defense. There's a star and a shining one at that. That defense is really good. Really good. Their offense is... got Justin Jefferson, but if you look at any of their numbers, nothing pops out on the page. And Mitch, like you said about Justin Jefferson, it feels like with all the star and the glory of the offense, it's really the defense that needs to be more made about this Vikings team. And the Vikings offense seems to try to take the thunder. I don't know. I think Kevin O'Connell's got a good thing going on there, but it's a weird situation with the quarterbacks, and it's a weird situation with that dynamic. That team should be all about their defense, because that's where they hang their hat, and they should. But so much gets made about their offense. And Justin Jefferson's a hell of a player. I mean, he's one of the best wide receivers we'll ever see play the game, but there's some question marks there. And I think you saw that with Sam Darnold. He just was looking to Justin Jefferson every time, and was seeing ghosts out there, scared to throw it to anybody but Justin Jefferson. Just tried to force it way too many times, and saw him overthrow, hit balls in the dirt, and all the likes. So that was tough. But credit goes to Amik Robertson for the sticky coverage. Had Jefferson in a box all day. So great to see out of Amik, a guy that he showed it some promise over the course of this year and the last couple of years. He's had some tackles for loss and been one of the better tacklers in this defense, but his coverage really shined last night. Let's move a little bit more to the offense. Yes, Mitch.
Real quick, Ben. You guys know I'm a big PFF guy.
Yes.
No surprise, Darnold, very low PFF grade for the Vikings, 45.8. Third lowest on the team, Justin Jefferson. Fourth lowest on the team, Addison. So maybe we just struggled to get open a little bit last night, boys, and we hung Sam Darnold out to dry.
Yeah, I know that's definitely a part of it, and that offensive line's got to wear some of that as well. The offensive line for the Vikings was not what they needed to be either, and they've had some question marks, and they've kind of gotten away with it based on the play of others on that team. But you're right, and credit to you, Mitch, that you laid the framework in the pre-show about stopping these guys.
I did. I said you just have to stop everyone.
And you said you got to put pressure on Darnold, and you said if you don't get pressure on him, you see Swiss cheese like they did against the Packers. So
That's right. I forgot. This whole time I thought I was just a homer that didn't know anything.
No. Apparently, if we take the Lions on a Lions podcast, there's some sort of crime that has been committed. But Mitch, that's
high-level analysis.
That was beautiful for you. Offensively, Gibbs, the highlight, obviously 4 touchdowns on the day, insane. He just loves playing Minnesota. I touched on it in the pre-show, just about how every time he's played the Vikings, he's had over a 20-yard scamper and just continues to go off against them. Last night, he had 139 yards on the ground. Best his effort from week 7. He had 116 against these guys last time, 139 on the ground last night, including another 31 through the air. Nearly found himself all the way up there to 200 and had a 47-yard run, his longest last night. Jared Goff, 27 of 33 with some questionable plays, mainly the near pick 6. The interception that was a punt on first down, like you highlighted, Andrew. Didn't see a punt coming down on first down. That was hilarious. And then the near intentional grounding in the end zone, which would have been a safety. So Jared Goff, 27 of 33 for 231, but certainly not his best day. 1 interception, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Amon-Ra St. Brown led the receivers with 77. Laporta had 63, not far behind him. J-Mo with some big catches, including a 4th down reception. That was huge down the stretch with 34 yards. Tim Patrick, a couple catches as well, 15. And then Leaf found himself back in this lineup, returning punts, but also caught 1 for 11. That was your offense, which almost got to 400 yards. They were just short, 394 on the day offensively for that offense. Vikings 262 on offense. How about the fake snap on? Yeah, I just had to take a breather there. A lot of stats.
We can step in whenever you want us to. Just give us a little nod, a little wink. We can do it.
I need like a cue. We need like a cue, you know. How about the Lions?
What do we do when Andrew disappears off camera?
Well, I think we just make him full screen. Tommy hits the full screen button, and we all just laugh.
I got a kitty in the booth. Okay.
Everyone knows that. You do the meowtro comes from your booth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Don't peel back the curtain too far, pal.
Kitty's shocked. He doesn't know what to do. We got a small space in here. Door is closed.
For those on YouTube, you're getting quite the treat right now with the talking heads right now. How about the 4th and 2 that the Vikings bid on? That was
I think I bid on that, to be fair.
That's what going for it on 4th down like 50% of the time will get you.
That was the only thing I could think of after that because I jumped on the couch. So no disrespect to the Vikings, but I 1,000% thought they were running a play. That was all to draw them off sides.
Beautiful. And Collinsworth, credit to him for highlighting it too. The turbo set. You hear Goff anytime the play clock's coming down. That's the turbo call. And so he used that there as the dummy call to draw that defense. Harrison Smith and like 6 others on that defense jumped and first down Lions and a big play in that game. And Mitch, I think if you were going through the radio calls, that was another great one too from.
I have not yet. I need to.
That's a great one. It's like, Harrison Smith and 6 others jumped off sides. Lions were never going to snap that ball. Lions were never going to snap that ball.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Beautiful. And Goff, back to him real quick. I think this is the difference. When he gets rattled, I think we saw Sam Darnold get rattled and not find his way out of it. Jared Goff gets rattled, but man, he's persistent, and that's just the grit that I guess has been instilled in him since joining this team. And if you guys caught him in the postgame, he got emotional about how supportive Dan Campbell's been of him and his career, and happy for him. He did have some mistakes, but happy for Jared Goff and to stick in there, when we needed him most. All right, you guys got anything else on the offense? Nah. Head shakes.
I think you said it. I mean, yeah, you nailed it. Jahmyr
Excited
Gibbs
to have
really
a break
fast,
and get
really
some
good.
boys back.
Yeah. Bates with a field goal, big field goal there before the half, 48-yarder. Reichert with a miss. How about the referees jumping in there to ice him? Basically, if I was a Lion, if that happened to the Lions, I'd have been pissed.
Yeah, for sure.
We had the crowd super involved. We had Chauncey Billups out there. We had Aiden, Calvin, Barry. So many showed up out there last night. Calvin got emotional in the postgame too on Peacock. That was fun to see. Fully bought back into this, and the hair on hair crime here. We've got Hawkinson versus Anza, but then we've got who's number 43 for that? Is that Van Ginkel?
What are we looking at? What I just put in there?
Yeah, the Wario and Mario.
Yep, that's Van Ginkel.
And how about their numbers 34 and 43? A little mirror image there. That's kind of cool.
They look the same. Everybody knows Wario is just the stinky, fat, ugly cousin that can't get it done. Oh, sorry, Andrew, was that your favorite character?
I was more of a Waluigi kind of guy.
I bet.
Luigi's hot right now in the world. Yeah, just played some Mario Party over the holidays.
These are nice, dude. How'd you do?
Yeah. Lost one, won one.
That's all you can hope for in situations like that.
No, party games, you're never going to have them always go your way. We did have some injuries in this game. Zeitler, probably the big one here with a hamstring. Yeah, that is tough. An offensive line that's been in and out of the lineup. All these guys have missed at least one game, it feels like. And Mahogany came in for a few snaps there at the end. We'll see. Maybe a week off will help him get available for the divisional round, but we don't know that his status right now. Obviously, they're off. So we'll know that next Wednesday when we record back into Walkthrough Wednesday episodes. We'll get back into that cadence. We'll take a break here and sit back and watch Wildcard Weekend, boys and girls and shareholders. This is going to be great.
Amazing.
I told you guys last night in the group chat, it's going to be nice to just sit back, watch Wildcard Weekend, which is one of my favorite weekends of the year, and watch it unfold without the Lions playing a part in it, which is great. We're used to that. However, it's been when the Lions weren't a part of the playoffs. Now it's for all the right reasons, because they have a bye week. That's simply incredible. And then Terrion with his foot, toe, ankle, looked more like an ankle, and then maybe a turf toe now is what they're saying, maybe a foot. He was dancing on TikTok afterwards, folks. So that's a good sign. Hopefully a week off, he can be ready, because that secondary can ill afford any more injuries, and we don't know the status for Carlton, but need Terrion out there, who did play well last night, aside Amik. Speaking of players that played well, you guys want to talk band players?
Start us off.
I think it's going to be
Andrew,
consensus,
start us off,
but I'm going to go Gibby, the 4 touchdowns, hard to not give him the nod, but also just the entire defense, just stepping up in a big way. Did not realize Amik went to high school with Justin Jefferson, so
Yes.
That's huge, and want to give it to him individually, but the entire defense stepped up, so him and Gibby.
I love that. I'm right there. I'm right there with you, Andrew. I've got Gibbs, obviously, because he's a freak dog. But I've got the super chill AG. It's the second time this year we've gotten to see AG just max chill on the bench on the sidelines. It's an all-time vibe. I love it.
Side note on that too, highlighted by some on the Lions circles, is we saw Aaron Glenn kind of taking a back seat there, and Calvin Shepard, you're seeing him more and more involved with that defense outside the linebacker room that he's a part of. I saw him out there with some other guys, not in the linebacker room, so you can kind of see like there's maybe a transition period going on there. We know the rumblings, which is that Aaron Glenn would be the Saints' next head coach, so seems like the next man up could be Calvin Shepard, and that's somebody we do adore. But back to band players, Gibbs is going to be, for me, I mean, how can you not with 4, but like you guys said, the defense, incredible. And we got one more from an honorary shareholder who has been with us since day one. Shout out to you.
But not with Dan Campbell.
Yeah, is this the quitter?
I knew this was going to come back around. You guys are wrong for bringing that up. Tommy should cut that. That's
Don't cut that.
That's so wrong of you guys to bring
Keep
that up.
it in.
He's got a defense. He's got the defense. He said, "What a performance from that defense." He's got to throw his hat in.
Of course, he
for the
couldn't give
defense.
Dan a shout out.
I think he's fully bought in now, and I think everybody is at this point.
You
I
think
mean,
that he's given his vote for Coach of the Year to Dan?
certainly not to Kevin O'Connell, who's still the odds-on favorite, by the way. Which just feels wrong. How can you? I don't know.
Because we talked about this, because their preseason win total was 6 or 6.5, 7, whatever it was, and they doubled it up. So it's going to be Kevin O'Connell. That's what it's based off of.
It's wrong. It's wrong. And Kevin O'Connell's 0-2 against the Lions this year. So that's all I have to say about it. What do you guys think about the Vikings going forward? Do you think this is a humbling moment for them, kind of similar to the Lions losing to the Bills? Do you think they get humbled here, or do you think they kind of fall off the rails here with a short week and going in? Well, not a short week. They play Monday night, but a West Coast trip out there to LA.
Do you want us to spoil our picks, or should we just get into them?
We could do that.
Yeah, I'll go full spoiler. I think the Vikings bounce back. I think this is more of a humbling performance for them. I think KOC has a talk with Darnold. I think the blueprint's out there for some other teams now, but you still got to generate that pressure. I think they bounce back. The Rams aren't world beaters this year. Absolute team that they can take advantage of and bounce back pretty easily.
Mitch, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I've got the Vikings. The only reason I have the Vikings is because the Rams beat them earlier this year. So you've got the chip on top of the other chip that is basically like, hey, the national media's moved on. Like, you could say the fan base has moved on. But Jared Verse has been playing very, very. Is it Jared Verse or Gerard Verse? I think it's Jared Verse for the Rams. So. Rookie's been playing very, very well. I think it's going to be touch and go. I've got the Vikings. I don't feel super confident about it, though. I don't know why. I just feel like, Andrew, you kind of said it at the end. Like, if they can get pressure and run some stunts and get in Darnold's face, is that all she wrote? Could be. But I've got the Vikings officially.
It feels like it, and I told you guys last night, and Matt may have been in the heat of the moment, but I feel like this could be a tipping point for this team, and I would not be shocked they come out flat and lose that game in LA. I think we'll know early. If the Vikings come out with a statement, first couple drives, and show that they are back to form, I think it's curtains for the Rams, and the Vikings will be moving on. But if they start slow, that could snowball into a bigger thing, and the Vikings could very well lose that game. All right, last two things before we give you our picks for the wild card round. Here's our season predictions. Mitch, you had a ceiling of 14-3 with a realistic 12-5, a floor of 10-7. Andrew matched you, 14-3 ceiling, realistic 12-5, floor 8-9. Myself, 16-1 ceiling, realistic 13-4.
Ben, you win.
No, I didn't do that just because of me. I think it's fun to look back on these things and
what was your floor?
Less than 10 wins, and a playoff loss in the first round.
Okay, well, that's impossible now. Good job.
Exactly. It's just fun to look back on and think about how we thought this season was going to go preseason, I think. And for us to all be 12, 13 wins and then them come out here with 15 wins, it's a great spot to be in. And make no mistake, this road is not done. We are ready for the playoffs, and the Lions will be too. And certainly the expectations are high, but there's a lot of work to do. And the grit, can't quit. It's got to continue through the playoffs. Surprises, our prediction tracker. Mitch, you said lead the league in forced turnovers. They finished the year with 24 takeaways. That got them almost into the top 10, 11. Almost. At one point, they were number 3.
Yeah, it fell off.
If the defense would have been healthy, I think they were top 5 for sure in takeaways.
I feel good about it. I don't regret it. I think that prediction willed Kirby to lead the league. That's what I meant. Lead the league in individual interceptions.
Love that spin zone from you. Andrew, you said top 5 offense and top 5 defense. Second in offense, second in scoring offense. 20th in defense because of some outlier games. DVOA much higher than that. 7th in points against, even with some of those higher scoring games. So, once again, I say again, if the injuries weren't in this formula, Lions would have been a top 5 defense as well.
Hell, even if we just keep Hutchinson, I think we got a chance.
Even a few of those. Mitch, all the credit in the world for you. You said preseason, Darnold's going to have 35 touchdown passes. What does he finish the year with? 35. We were thinking, previous episode, we were thinking, well, he'll probably get 1 or 2 against the Lions. No, he got 0. So he does finish at your mark, 35.
Wow. A great call, sir.
Just a homer.
Yeah. I invite those who think we are homers, listen to any of these full length podcasts and hear us go at the Lions and go at other teams. You also had Mitch 5+ 50 yarders Bates ends the year with 6 on the year. So, congratulations.
Very close. Very close. Diaper prediction. That was a little too close.
A little, but 2 in one game against the Texans. The Texans game I think was 2, right? Maybe it was the Vikings game. I can't remember. Been a long season. Final win totals for the year-long record. Thank you, Andrew.
Sorry. Somebody making fun of Dan Campbell.
Oh, well.
Was coming to his honor.
The listener? Our listener?
No, it was, I think it was that Joy Taylor chick and and one other talking about Dan when he was wearing his race helmet.
Yeah, when Formula One came to Detroit. Who could forget?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a freezing cold take. Andrew, you finished the year at 169 and 101, my friend. Congratulations.
Would have liked to finish at 269s, if you know what I'm saying.
Ooh, ayo.
Sorry for the listeners on that one.
Oh my goodness, this is the part of the episode where it gets a little crazy. Man, 2 less losses, you'd have been below 100.
What did Andrew finish at last year for the listeners?
158 and something.
I'll take it. I'll take
a
it,
marked
man.
improvement. We just
that's
wanted the
climbing
wins.
the ladder.
11 wins over last year. Nicely done, sir.
Beautiful. Mitch, 174 and 96, 2 games off of last year's total. Myself, 176 and 94, 4 games off of my total from last year. So Mitch and I falling on the ranks. Andrew's climbing. So next year we could all be at the same.
170 plus, boys.
The spread
That's
is
the way
tight.
to be.
All the way through the season. Neck and neck. That's just the chemistry that we have. All right.
I will say, it does help out a lot when you take the Lions week over week and they put up 15 W's.
That's nice.
But we're just homers.
That was 15. Automatic 15 for us.
Are you saying, for those who think we're homers, are you saying that we shouldn't take the Lions when they win 88.2% of the time?
I heard you cackling. I know you didn't do that in your head. That was a quick calculator pull up. I know it.
All right, you got me there. But yeah, I mean, you're right. 15 wins coming from the Lions there. That does help us in our win totals. All right, let's flip to the spreadsheet. Let's give you this real quick. Let's run through them as we will not have a show before the wild card weekend. If you guys want to pause this and then listen to this in a couple days as you're getting ready for wild card weekend, go ahead. Our first matchup, as we share our screen here, matchup.
Depressing, boys. It'd be sweet to be in Detroit. Anyone who can go to the game, that's incredible. If you can get to Detroit
price?
for the game, amazing. It's standing room only. I saw $570.
Yeah, I almost
It's
texted
nuts.
you guys this earlier. They were going for 600 in standing room only earlier.
Yeah.
Insane. And you compare that to the AFC side of thing where the Chiefs will be hosting their divisional round. 158.
I happen to know some fans that will be going to watch the Broncos in Buffalo, and they got them for 170. Not bad seats either.
Wow.
Incredible.
Good for them.
And what an environment. Hopefully they jump through some tables.
That'd be sweet.
All right, first one. This one will be on Saturday at 4:30 Eastern, CBS and Paramount Plus. If you want to watch this one, Chargers heading to Houston. Chargers coming in at 3-point favorites with Harbaugh at the helm here. This one's on a dome. No weather in this one. If the Texans had a little bit more help, I would want to take the Texans here. They were my Super Bowl pick, but I'm gonna have to take the Chargers.
Yeah, I think Chargers. Texans just look kind of lifeless.
With you guys, the Texans have been on the negative trajectory as of late, losing some guys too to injury.
Speaking of negative trajectory, talk to us about Ravens Steelers, Andrew.
There you go.
Yikes.
And I'm going hard on the Ravens too, because Steelers limped their way into the playoffs, just barely got there, and they are not going to last long. They are one and done.
Yeah, Ben, you've got Ravens close. I've got Ravens not close.
Yeah, they split the season 1-1. Ravens won by 17 in Week 16, so I get why the spread is -10 for this matchup. That's on Saturday night at 8 o'clock Eastern on Prime. This is a Prime exclusive, folks. This is the first ever playoff game on Prime. If you have cable, you're not getting this. You got to have Prime. Snow flurries possible in this one. I think the Steelers are going to play up. I don't think they're going to win. I think the Ravens are going to win, but by a closer margin. I think they win by 6. In the matchup,
I forgot that the Steelers beat the Ravens without scoring a touchdown earlier this year.
They did 18-16, if I do remember correctly. Bills at home, like you were just speaking on, Mitch. They're going to be taking on the Broncos. Possible snow flurries. CBS Paramount Plus. This is the first one on Sunday at 1 o'clock. I will take the Bills, but I've got the note in here. Bo Nix and the Broncos put up a fight and build up for next season. This is a building opportunity for them. Bills win, but the AFC West is growing, so watch out, Chiefs. That division is about to get hot.
Yeah, I like the Bills. I like the Bills to cover. I could see a final score being like 31-14, 17. I think you're right. I think the Broncos will put up a fight, but the Bills are just too much.
A lot of same picks coming out of wild card weekend here. I'm going with you guys too, but Ben, you're right. Broncos are basically in the bonus round right now. Everything is building blocks for them here for the next 3 years. So good for them making the playoffs. They've got something to look forward to. Nix and Mims just got to keep working that connection. Who's our next one here? We got one on Fox. Green Bay taking on the Eagles. Green Bay tried to beat the Bears to avoid having to play the Eagles, but not a great team. And Jordan Love got a little banged up. I'm going Eagles in this one.
Packers just stink. I think the Eagles, and here's something I've been talking to a Packers fan who I hold very near and dear. He's a great person, but he's a little confused, obviously. The Packers don't have a number one receiver. They just have a bunch of 2s and 3s. You guys notice this?
And Christian Watson officially gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. The official quote from this Packers fan, Christian Watson's knees are made of spaghetti noodles.
It's what his knees are what Jameson Williams' knees look like.
Okay.
Wild. What accurate.
Yeah, I've got Eagles. Packers don't look good, and again, finish with the same division record as the Bears. So why would anyone pick them?
That's tough. Eagles and Packers met in week 1, way back in week 1, and Eagles took that one by 5 points. I think this one's going to be potentially a wider margin than that. I think Eagles all the way, they're going to be way too much. They're just going to wear down the pack. Packers only have a chance if they can run the ball very, very well, and I just don't see that happening. Commanders.
I forgot about that game, Ben. The game in Brazil that everybody complained about. The grass was not in great shape. That's
the
what
grass
Packers
couldn't leave their hotels. They hated it.
Sorry to cut you off. Send us away.
Commanders heading down to Tampa Bay. This one will be on NBC and Peacock. The last game of Sunday at 8 o'clock. I'll take the Commanders here to upset the Bucks. Oh, by the way, Buccaneers won the matchup in week 1, 37-20 over these guys. But I'll still take the
Important note. Bucks are 3-point favorites. I like the Bucks. Bucks have been a little shaky, but so have both of these teams. I feel like this is where the experience comes into play. I like the Buccaneers.
I love that from you, Mitchell. I'm taking the Bucks to win and by more than 3 as well. However you want to say that.
Oh, he likes the cover. Do you like the points? Do you like the Bucks and the points? Do you like the over 50.5?
Ooh, no. Give me the under in it.
Okay.
Give me the under.
Okay.
But I think this more comes down to Baker Mayfield. Like what you were saying, the experience. Baker Mayfield.
Buccaneers, baby.
He's a gamer for me. He's going to do whatever it takes to win a football game. Do you want me to
go again or no?
Yeah, I don't know. Ben's been doing such a beautiful job giving us all the locations we can watch these on.
Okay, so do you want Mustache to go or are you going?
Should he shave it?
No, he shouldn't shave it. I thought that was the worst comment out of all the TikTok comments. I think he should keep it.
All right, Mustache,
that guy
give
can't
us
grow
one
a
more.
mustache. Rams at home versus the Vikings. This is your 4-5 matchup versus to close out the wild card on Monday Night Football, 8 o'clock, ESPN, ABC, ESPN Plus. You can watch it on all of those. Rams won the first matchup, 30-20. It's going to be back-to-back weeks, same as week 7 and 8 for Minnesota. They had to play the Lions. They lost. They had to play the Rams. They lost. I think the same thing happens. I'll take the Rams.
We talked about this already. I've got the Vikings. I don't feel great about it.
We talked about it. I'm taking the Vikings. I think they can bounce back against the Rams. They're not world beaters. Just contain Stafford because Stafford can ball if you don't take him down.
Yes, that's what it's all about. Playoff Stafford's a little different too. Minnesota, that's your closest spread of the weekend. 1.5-point favorites is Minnesota. So, all right, let's stop sharing the screen and get you guys out of here. We'll be back, like I said, walk through Wednesday. We'll be previewing Lions, and we don't know yet. We will have that outcome. Sit back, watch the games this weekend. Folks, shareholders, thank you for being with us throughout this regular season. Now the time really starts. Playoffs start now. This is when it gets important. The grit can't quit. Let's go, Lions. We'll see you all next week. Enjoy football while you still have it.
Meow.